This is the CitizenLink Report.
If you find our insights helpful, would you support our video efforts? Your gift of $25 or more goes a long ways. Covers the crew, lights, cameras, all that. Just click on donate. Thanks from all of us. The Supreme Court passes on a case concerning a state that cut funding to abortion sellers. We'll talk about the possible impact on other states that are trying to do the same thing. This is the CitizenLink Report. Hi, I'm Stuart Shepard along with Bruce Housknecht, who follows the courts for us. Hi, Bruce.
Hi, Stuart.
First, tell us what happened in Indiana. What was this case all about?
Well, Indiana in 2011 passed a law regarding its Medicaid funding of women's health service clinics. And because that's a joint federal and state program, Medicaid, Indiana wanted to make sure that all of these funds, and there's a lot of funds that go to these clinics, did not go to abortion providers or clinics that do women's health plus abortion. So it wrote a law saying we are not going to spend or send those funds that are both state and federal, we're not going to send them to those types of clinics. That was attacked in court by Planned Parenthood because they have clinics in Indiana and they don't want to give up the money, of course. They succeeded in blocking the law at both the district court level and the Seventh Circuit. It was appealed to the Supreme Court, and just recently the Supreme Court decided that they would not accept the case, which leaves the Seventh Circuit case in effect.
And tell us what the Seventh Circuit said about this. It basically said send the money to Planned Parenthood, but what was the reasoning?
Yeah, the reasoning, and this is kind of an issue of federal versus state law, but in any situation where you have federal money that is governed by federal statute, then you have to be very careful as a state as to follow those guidelines, or actually it's a statute, it's not guidelines, but it's the law. You have to find out what that is and follow it as closely as you can. And if you don't, you can get sued because the federal laws preempt state laws. They come first because of the way we structure federal versus state. That's what happened here, and that's why the Seventh Circuit held that what Indiana had attempted to do violated what is the sphere of rule of the federal government for Medicaid. And so they said, no, Indiana, you can't do that.
Now, it seems to me that other states that have been working to defund Planned Parenthood and other abortion sellers will be looking very closely at this. How will this play out among the states? Any sense of that yet?
Well, you know, there have been several states that have tried this, and more of those states are going to watch this case very closely, because this is a situation where you have to figure out a way to exist in a federal and state system with Medicaid so that you can provide services to the poor, but not fund the abortion industry. Planned Parenthood made $500 million last year from the federal government in grants and contracts and Medicaid being the largest portion of that. Yeah. And states that invest in life and don't want to see abortion in their state are looking for ways to stop the faucet from flowing to Planned Parenthood or other clinics that provide abortions. And so several states have tried different things. In fact, Texas was one of the ones that was successful in this, but as soon as they were successful, the federal government withheld all Medicaid funds from them, and they're going to go it on their own. To their credit, they're standing behind their pro-life position, and that's good. And maybe Indiana will have to go that way, same way as well.
I don't expect you to become a lawmaker all of a sudden, but is there anything that Indiana can do from here? What's possible?
You know, they've worked with real top-flight teams of attorneys in the pro-life area to draft these laws. They haven't quite succeeded yet. But I think if they go back to the drawing boards, they may find a way to do what the federal law requires without giving up their pro-life vision. Another option is to win back the Congress and the White House so that the votes are there to prevent the indirect funding of abortion sellers like Planned Parenthood.
What's your encouragement to pro-lifers and particularly pro-life legislatures around the country that would like to defund Planned Parenthood? What's your encouragement for them?
Yeah, keep up the fight. This is a situation where It's just a matter of drafting the right laws to get it done, and we can keep doing that.
All right. Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks, Stuart.
And thank you for watching. We always appreciate hearing from you. You may write to us at mail@citizenlink.com. We appreciate your questions, your comments, your criticisms are welcome as well. We read every message that comes in. We don't always get to respond to all of them, but we do read every one. We encourage you to pray for the elected officials around the country who are trying to figure out how to navigate this terrain, especially with the Supreme Court handing this back to the Seventh Circuit. Help them to come up with wisdom, insight, and clarity as far as how to craft these laws in order to keep money from going to organizations that sell abortions. And remember, stand tall and be heard.